Hi everyone! For today's lesson, we're going to teach you how to perform Pythagorean theorem. Take a look at the worksheet that you have tonight for homework. Please follow along with me and see where it says copy from video number 1. Please copy everything that I do on this screen on your paper as well. The first thing you do when you're performing a problem is you want to take a look at the three sides of a triangle. Pythagorean theorem is a formula that will help you solve the unknown side of the triangle. So we could see we have two sides of the triangle here. One is labeled leg A, one is labeled leg B, and one is labeled hypotenuse C. As you can see, we know what side A is, and we know what side B is. We have to find out what side C is. First thing you should do is label your sides. The two sides over here, you should label A and B. The side that is opposite of your right angle side is always going to be C. Now let's write out our three sides. For A, we have 4. For side B, we know that's 8. And for side C, that is our unknown that we're going to solve for. Please take a moment and make sure you have your three sides labeled on your triangle and you have side A, B, and C written out. Okay, so let's get started. The most important part of Pythagorean theorem is our formula. This is something that you'll need to know. The formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Please write that on your paper. Now let's just fill in our formula with our three letters over here. So for A, we have 4. For B, we have 8. And for C, we don't know what that is, so we're going to make that an X. Please make sure you write your problem just like I wrote it, in parentheses, with your squared symbol on the outside. Okay, our next step is to solve what we know. So we're going to take our 4 and our calculator, and we're going to square that. Then we're going to take our 8 and our calculator, and we're going to square that, rewriting our answers underneath. So 4 squared becomes 16. We're going to bring down our plus sign, and 8 squared becomes 64. We'll bring down our equal sign, and we'll also bring down our x squared. Our last step is to solve for x. In order to do that, we're going to add 16 plus 64, and we'll get 80 equals x squared. Now, x isn't by itself yet, so we are not done. In this problem, most of the time, you're going to be asked to get your answer in simplest radical form. Now, we learned that today in class, so now we're going to practice that. The first step is going to be to write your two square root symbols underneath. Find your list of perfect squares. Find the square that fits in perfectly to 80. And if we work our way up here, the number that goes perfectly into 80 is 16. So 80 divided by 16 is 5. We'll put our perfect square on the left. We'll put our whole number on the right. Circle our square. That will remind us to put that in our calculator. And our final answer is 4 radical 5. Please pause the video here and make sure that you took notes and wrote down anything that's on my screen should also be on your screen. Once you're done taking the notes, now it's your turn. Take a look at your paper. Under your turn, you have problem number 2. Please repeat the steps that I just taught you. Replay the video if you need to. Don't forget you're going to start with labeling all three sides and write out your formula. Good luck. Okay, now we're going to do one more problem together, and you'll have one more problem to do on your own. Now we're going to practice solving for a side that is not the hypotenuse. So we're going to practice solving for either A or B. First things first, turn your paper over, and you should be at number 3. Let's start by labeling our three sides. Remember, the side that is opposite across, you can almost draw an arrow. The right angle is always going to be side C, and the other two sides are going to be A and B. Technically, you could switch that around. Either one of these could be A or B. The most important part that you need to label is the C. Please make sure that your problem is labeled. Okay, now we're going to set up our A, B, and C. Over here we have A equals 2, B is unknown, so we'll put a question mark, and C is 10. After we're done labeling, we need our formula. Can you remember the formula? If so, it's A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Please write that on your paper. All right, now it's time to plug in our numbers. We know that A is 2. We don't know what B is, so we're going to represent that as X. And we know that C is 10. So it should look a little something like this. 2 squared plus X squared equals 10 squared. Do you remember what's next? Now we plug in our formulas in our calculator. So for 2 squared, we're going to get 4. Then we're going to bring down the plus X squared. And then after our equal sign, we'll put in 10 squared. So your paper should look like mine, and we're almost done. Now we need to solve for X. So is X by itself? No. What's happening to X? We need to get rid of this 4 over here. How will we get rid of that? We're going to do the opposite operation. So this is a positive 4. We're going to subtract 4. And whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So if we subtract 4 from both sides, we get X squared equals 96. Please pause this video if you need to and make sure that your notes are correct. And then our last step is to get X by itself in simplest radical form. Again, we did this today in class, so you should be familiar with this. We're going to take our radical 96, we're going to set it up with 2 radical symbols underneath. Then we're going to take a look at our perfect squares. We're going to find the number that is closest to 96 without going past it. It's going to be 81. We're going to do 96 divided by 81. We're going to keep going until we see a number that is a whole number. And it's going to be all the way up here at 16. So if you do in your calculator 96 divided by 16, you'll get 6. So you put the perfect square over here, the whole number over here. Last but not least, take that circled number, put it in your calculator. You're going to get 4 radical 6, and that's your final answer. So now you have your problem to do. Step 1, make sure that your notes are complete for number 3. Make sure that everything on this screen is on your paper. And then step 2 is it's your turn. For number 4, label sides A, B, and C. Set up your formula. Plug in your numbers. Solve for X. Find the simplest radical form. If you need to, don't forget, you can rewind this video. If you have any questions, we can ask you. Just do your best, and we'll see you tomorrow in class. Thanks for doing your homework. Bye-bye.